The 2022 FIFA World Cup is scheduled to be the 22nd edition of the FIFA World Cup, the quadrennial international men's football tournament contested by the member national teams of FIFA. It will be hosted by Qatar from November 20th to December 18, 2022. This will be the first edition of the World Cup to be held in the Arab world and the second to be held in Asia after the 2002 edition that was played in South Korea and Japan. This edition is the seventh and last edition of the World Cup in which he participates. 32 teams, starting with the 1998 World Cup. In 2018, FIFA studied the possibility of expanding the tournament to include 48 teams, scheduled for 2026, and applying it in the 2022 edition. However, on May 22, 2019, this idea was abandoned due to many difficulties, the most important of which was that the organizing committee initially planned to accommodate 32 players, not 48 teams. Where 48 teams will participate in the 2026 edition, which is scheduled to be organized in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Due to the sweltering summer heat in Qatar, this time the World Cup will be held from late November to mid-December, making it the first tournament not to be held in May, June, or July. The tournament will be played in a lesser period of time, around 29 days. The first match of the tournament will be held between Qatar and Ecuador at Al Bayt Stadium in Al Khor. The final match is scheduled to take place on December 18, 2022, which is Qatar National Day. The World Cup holder is France. The procedure for submitting nominations for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups began in January 2009, and the national associations had until February 2, 2009 to register their interest. Initially, 11 bids were submitted for the 2018 World Cup, but Mexico later withdrew from the proceedings, and Indonesia's bid was rejected by FIFA in February 2010 after the Indonesian Football Association failed to provide a letter of guarantee from the Indonesian government to support the bid. Indonesian officials did not rule out bidding to host the 2026 World Cup until Qatar won the bid to host the 2022 World Cup. During the bidding process, all non-UEFA member states gradually withdrew their bids for the 2018 World Cup, ensuring that an EU country would host that edition, and thus make the European Union countries ineligible to host the 2022 World Cup. In the end, there were 5 bids for the 2022 World Cup: Australia, Japan, Qatar, South Korea, and the United States. The 22-member FIFA Council met in Zurich on December 2, 2010, to vote to select the hosts for the two tournaments. 2 members of FIFA's executive committee have been suspended before the vote due to allegations of corruption in connection with their votes. The decision to host the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, which was rated as having high operational risk, drew criticism from media commentators. It has been criticized by many as part of the FIFA corruption scandals. There have been allegations of bribery and corruption in the selection process involving members of the FIFA Council. These allegations are being investigated by FIFA. Qatar is the smallest country in terms of area that has been granted the right to host the World Cup, followed by Switzerland, the host country for the 1954 World Cup, which is 3 times larger than Qatar and hosts a tournament with 16 teams instead of the current 32. Qatar also became the second country, with the exception of Uruguay, as host country of the first ever World Cup, to be awarded the right to host the World Cup despite having never qualified for any previous edition. Japan previously secured co-host rights for the 2002 World Cup alongside South Korea without ever having qualified for the finals, although they had previously qualified for the 1998 World Cup. Some investigations have found that Qatar sought an advantage to secure the hosting by hiring Kevin Chalker, a former officer in the World Cup. The CIA turned private contractor, spying on rival bidding teams and key football officials who picked the winner in 2010. Voting results. Results of voting for the right to host the 2022 World Cup. The state. Qatar 14. United States 8. South Korea is out. Japan is out. Australia is out. Reactions. In reaction to the announcement, celebrations were held in the streets of Qatar. The exchange responded strongly with increased participation in trading following the announcement. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad told his Qatari counterpart, "Hosting the tournament is a major sporting event that can promote football in the Arab Gulf region and the Middle East, and Iran is ready to help Qatar host the event," expressing his hope that its neighbors will be able to achieve a reasonable share in attending the tournament. Al-Thani stressed the need for cooperation between the countries of the region to take advantage of the sporting opportunity and benefit from it. He also added that Qatar's initiative would motivate its neighbors to enhance and develop their football. Roger Borden, who was serving as the FA's president, withdrew his application for the permanent position days after the vote, saying he could not trust the FA's members for their actions. Andy Anson, executive director of the England candidacy, said, "I think it has to change, because otherwise, why would Australia, the US, Holland, Belgium and England bother bidding again?" There was also a media backlash in the losing countries. Most British newspapers claimed that the World Cup had been sold to Qatar, and Spanish newspaper El Mundo made comments about Qatar's financial strength and its commodity and energy reserves. The American newspapers, the Seattle Times and the Wall Street Journal alleged collusion and corruption. Potential expansion. On April 12, 2018, CONMEBOL, FIFA asked FIFA to expand the 2022 World Cup from 32 to 48 teams. For years before the 2026 World Cup as initially planned, FIFA President Gianni Infantino expressed his willingness to consider the request. However, the FIFA Congress rejected the request shortly before the start of the 2018 World Cup. Infantino said that FIFA would not discuss the possibility of a 48-team World Cup, and that they would discuss the matter first with the host country. In March 2019, a FIFA feasibility study concluded that the tournament would have been expanded to 48 teams, albeit with the help of one or more neighboring countries and 2 to 4 additional places. FIFA also said that while legal action could not be ruled out over losing bidders by changing the format of the tournament, the study said it concluded that the stakes were low. FIFA and Qatar were looking at possible joint proposals to submit to the FIFA Council and Congress. FIFA later in June, had a joint proposal been submitted, the FIA's member associations would have voted on the final decision at the 69th FIFA Congress in Paris, France by June 5. However, on May 22, FIFA announced that it would not expand the tournament. All 6 confederations except Oceania have staged their own World Cup qualifiers. 211 teams from 6 confederations will participate in the qualifiers. This edition of the 2022 World Cup will see the participation of 32 teams from all 6 continents of the world, with 1 seat allocated to the host country, Qatar. 2 qualifications for the 2023 AFC Asian Cup. Qatar has already qualified for the final stage as group champions, so the best 5th-placed team qualifies instead. The defending champion, France, was not granted a direct seat, as was the case in previous tournaments. The qualifying draw was scheduled to take place in July 2019, however, this was rescinded to allow each confederation to conduct its own draw. The first match of the 2022 World Cup qualifiers was played on June 6, 2019. It was part of the AFC World Cup qualifiers, where Mongolia beat Brunei 2-0. In this version, FIFA determined the number of eligible seats for each continent at the meeting held in Zurich, Switzerland, on May 30, 2015, and the committee decided to keep the same number of seats for the last 4 tournaments, from the 2006 World Cup to the 2018 World Cup. The continent of Europe won the largest share of those seats, 13 seats, followed by the continent of Africa, 5 seats, then the continent of Asia and the continent of South America, 4.5 seats, then the continent of North America and the Caribbean, 3.5 seats, and finally the continent of Oceania, only half a seat. Thus, the total of 29 seats, in addition to the winners of the FIFA Global Supplement, becomes a qualifying seat for the World Cup. Qualified teams. The team qualified for the World Cup finals. The team failed to qualify. The team withdrew or was excluded. Not a member of FIFA. Of the 32 nations that qualified for the finals, 24 participated in the previous edition in 2018. Qatar is the only team to have made its World Cup debut, becoming the first host to compete in the tournament for the first time since Italy in the 1934 World Cup. The Netherlands, Ecuador, Ghana, Cameroon and the United States teams to the tournament after their absence from the 2018 World Cup. Canada returned after an absence of 36 years, and its previous and only appearance was in the 1986 World Cup. The Welsh national team will participate in the World Cup for the first time in 64 years, as their last participation was in the 1958 edition, and this is also the longest difference between two participations for a European team. It has won the World Cup 4 times and the European Championship 2020 champion, in qualifying for the second time in a row for the tournament, and this happened for the first time in its history, as it lost in the semi-finals of the third path of the European playoff against North Macedonia, and the Italian national team is the only former champion that failed to qualify. Russia, which hosted the 2018 World Cup, was excluded from the competition due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Nigerian national team also failed to qualify after appearing in the past 3 editions, and that was after its defeat against Ghana by the away goals rule in the third stage of the African qualifiers. Facilities. The first 5 proposed stadiums were unveiled at the beginning of March 2010. The country intends for the stadiums to reflect the historical and cultural aspects of the state of Qatar. The designs align with the following disciplines: legacy, comfort, accessibility, and sustainability. The stadiums will be equipped with cooling systems intended to lower indoor temperatures by up to 20 degrees Celsius, 36 degrees Fahrenheit, but it is not yet known if this will actually work in outdoor stadiums. Qatar aspires to be compliant and certified by the Global Sustainability Assessment System for all World Cup stadiums. All 5 stadium projects launched were designed by German architect Albert Speer and partners. Al Bayt Stadium will be the only indoor stadium out of the 8 stadiums in use. A report released on December 9, 2010, quoted FIFA President Sepp Blatter as saying that other countries could host some matches during the World Cup. However, no country was identified in the report. Blatter added that any such decision must first be taken by Qatar and then approved by the FIFA Council. Prince Ali bin Al Hussein of Jordan told the Australian Associated Press that holding matches in Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and possibly Saudi Arabia would help to integrate the peoples of the region during the tournament. The construction of Al Thumama Stadium was ignited in November 2013. According to an April 2013 report by Merrill Lynch, the investment banking division of Bank of America, regulators in Qatar asked FIFA to approve fewer stadiums due to rising costs. Bloomberg LB said Qatar would like to cut the number of venues down to 8 or 9 from the originally planned 12. Although, as of April 2017, FIFA had not finalized the number of venues it should be ready for within 5 years, however, Qatar Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy has said it expects there will be 8 stadiums in and near Doha, excluding Al Khor. In January 2019, Gianni Infantino said FIFA was studying the possibility of neighboring countries hosting matches during the tournament, in order to reduce political tensions. Stadium 974, formerly known as Ras Abu Aboud, is the 7th stadium for the 2022 World Cup, taking its name from the number of shipping containers used in its construction. The stadium will host 7 matches during the tournament. The organizing committee has divided the number of matches to be played into several categories. 10 matches, Lusail Stadium in Lusail, the largest stadium in Qatar. It will host 10 matches distributed over the different rounds of the tournament, including the final match. 9 matches, Al Bayt Stadium in Al Khor. It will host 9 matches distributed over the different rounds of the tournament, including the opening match. 8 matches, Khalifa International Stadium, Education City Stadium in Al Rayyan, and Al Thumama Stadium in Doha, where each of them will host 8 matches. Khalifa Stadium will host the third-place match, and Education City and Al Thumama Stadiums will host matches up to the quarter-finals. 7 matches, Al Janoub Stadium in Al Wakra, Ahmed Ben Ali Stadium in Al Rayyan, and Stadium 974 in Doha. These stadiums will host 7 matches until the round of 16. Stadiums. 8 stadiums were built and renovated in 5 Qatari cities in order to host the World Cup finals. Lusail City, Lusail Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 80,000, construction officially began on July 21, 2014. The project has not been completed yet. Al Khor City, Al Bayt Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 60,000. The construction of the stadium began in 2014, and it was inaugurated on November 22, 2021 during the opening of the 2021 Arab Cup. The design of the stadium is inspired by the traditional tent in the desert. Madinat Al Wakra, Al Janoub Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 40,000. The construction of the stadium began in 2014, and it was inaugurated on May 16, 2019 during the 2019 Emir of Qatar Cup final match. It was designed by Iraqi engineer Zaha Hadid. The capital, Doha, Stadium 974, capacity during the World Cup, 40,000. The preparation of the land on which the stadium was built began in mid-October 2017, and it was inaugurated on November 20, 2021. The stadium hosted the first official match between the Emirates and Syria national teams in the 2021 Arab Cup competitions on November 30, 2021. The number 974 represents the international symbol and the code of the state of Qatar, and the number of containers used in building the stadium. The capital, Doha, Al Thumama Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 40,000. Its design is inspired by the gafiya, which is the hat worn by men in the Arab world. Al Rayyan City, Khalifa International Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 40,000. The stadium renovation process began in the summer of 2014, and it was inaugurated after renovation on May 19, 2019 during the Emir Cup final match Qatar 2017. Al Rayyan City, Education City Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 40,000, 22. Al Rayyan City, Ahmed Ben Ali Stadium, capacity during the World Cup, 40,000, 2020. It is the main stadium for Al Rayyan Club. Team headquarters. These premises/camps will be used by the 32 participating national teams for survival and training before and during the World Cup tournament. Qatar, Aspire Zone, Doha. Ecuador, Hyatt Regency Oryx, Doha. Senegal, Duhail Region, Doha. Netherlands, West Bay, Doha. England, Souk Al Wakra Hotel by Tivoli, Al Wakra. Iran, Al Rayyan Hotel Doha, Al Rayyan. United States, the Pearl Island, Doha. Wales, Diplomatic Area, Doha. Argentina, Qatar University, Doha. Tournament system. The 2022 World Cup includes 32 teams from 6 continents. These teams will compete for 28 days in the host country to win the championship title. The first stage of competitions begins with the group stage. The group stage consists of 8 groups, where each of the 4 teams will play in one group. The leaders and runners-up of each group qualify for the next round. The participating teams were divided into 4 levels based on the FIFA World classification of the teams and according to sports and geographical criteria. Since 1998, some rules have been approved in the division of teams, including what stipulated that no more than 2 European teams should fall into one group, and that no more than 1 team from every other continental federation should fall into one group, to spare the teams of one continent from early confrontation in one group. Because of the unequal teams in the 4 bowls. Break-even criteria. Each team plays 3 matches in the group stage against other teams in the same group. The last round of the group will be played at one time to maintain fairness between the 4 teams. The 2 teams with the most points qualify for the next round. Since 1994, points have been used to arrange teams within the group, so 3 points are awarded for winning, 1 for a draw and nothing for losing, after previously the winner got only 2 points. In the event of equal points, the following FIFA rules apply. The order of the participating teams in the group stage is as follows. Points obtained. The difference in goals scored and conceded for each team. Most goals scored teams. In the event of a tie between 2 or more teams, the order will be as follows. The points obtained by the team in the matches between the respective teams. The goal difference resulting from the group matches between the concerned teams. The highest number of goals scored in all group matches between the respective teams. Resorting to fair play rules that are determined on the basis of colored cards. The fair play points are calculated as follows: yellow card -1, indirect red card, 2 cautions, -3, direct red card -4, yellow card then direct expulsion -5. Draw lots by the FIFA Organizing Committee. The knockout stage comprises the 16 teams that qualified from the group stage of the tournament. There are 4 rounds of this stage, with each round eliminating half of the teams that entered that stage. The consecutive rounds are the round of 16, the quarter-finals, the semi-finals, and the final match. There was also a playoff to determine the 3rd and 4th place finishers. A draw in each knockout stage match after 90 minutes of play followed by 30 minutes of extra time. If the score remained tied, a penalty shootout was decided to determine the team qualified for the next round. Arbitration. On May 19, 2022, FIFA announced a list of 36 referees, 69 assistant referees, and 24 video assistant referees to lead the tournament matches. Pumpkin. The 2022 World Cup draw was held on April 1, 2022 at the Doha Exhibition and Convention Center in the capital, Doha, at 1900 hours local time, Arab Standard Time. The draw took place before the end of the qualifiers, as the identity of the qualifiers from the Continental Playoff and the first track from the European Playoff was not known. It was presented by actor Idris Elba and broadcaster Richmond Chaudhry, with the participation of 3 former players who had previously won the tournament, namely the Brazilian Cafu, the World Cup champion twice in 1994 and 2002, the German Lothar Matthäus, the 1990 champion, and the French Marcel Desailly, the 1998 champion, in addition to the Qatari Adel Ahmed Malala and the Iranian Ali Daei, Serbian Bora Milutinovic, Nigerian JJ Okocha, Algerian Rabah Major, Australian Tim Cahill, and Samantha Johnson, accompanied by German Jennas and Carly Lloyd, managed the draw process in the presence of 2,000 guests. The 32 participating teams were divided into 4 pots based on the FIFA World Ranking that was issued on March 31, 2022, when each pot included 8 teams. The representative of the organizing country, Qatar, was ranked in the first pot, along with the 7 highest teams in the world rankings. The second pot contained the 8 highest teams after the teams of the first pot, and the third pot consisted of the highest 8 teams after the teams of the first and second pots, while the fourth pot included the 5 lowest-ranked teams, accompanied by the 2 qualified teams from the global playoff, in addition to the winner from the first track of the European playoff. It was forbidden to place two teams from the same confederation in a single group, with the exception of UEFA teams, where each group contained at least one European team and a maximum of two. The drawing of teams from Pot 1 started and ended in Pot 4, and Pot 1 teams were automatically placed at the top of each pool. The first group ranked 1 diameter, 2 Ecuador, 3 Senegal, 4 the Netherlands. The second group ranked 1 England, 2 Iran, 3 4 Wales. The third ranked group 1 Argentina, 2 Saudi Arabia, 3 Mexico, 4 Poland. Fourth ranked group 1 France, 2 Australia, 3 Denmark, 4 Tunisia. The fifth group ranked team 1 Spain, 2 Costa Rica, 3 Germany, 4 Japan. Sixth ranked group 1 Belgium, 2 Canada, 3 Morocco, 4 Croatia. Seventh ranked group 1 Brazil, 2 Serbia, 3 Switzerland, 4 Cameroon. The eighth group ranked team 1 Portugal, 2 Ghana, 3 Uruguay, 4 South Korea. The first match in the 2022 World Cup begins after the opening ceremony, on Sunday, November 20th, at 6 o'clock in the evening, Egypt, Sudan, Jordan and South Africa time, 7 o'clock in Saudi Arabia and Qatar time, and 8 o'clock in the UAE time, between the host country Qatar against Ecuador at the Al Bayt Stadium. The match between Qatar and Ecuador will start before facing Senegal and the Netherlands, and the latter pair was scheduled to be the first match in the 2022 World Cup before the organizers moved the Qatar match to be the day before. In the end, I thank Jason for your follow-up. We hope to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button, and do not forget to like. We also await your support through the super chat and the thank you feature.